My name is Tom Watson. I'm the Deputy Leader of the Labour Party and I'm the Shadow Culture Minister.
How important do you think Music Venues Trust is?
Well, the work of the Music Venues Trust for me is really important. Look, I don't need convincing of the arguments that the state and all parts of it need to support the cultural endeavours of our music venues, but I do need to understand how best I can represent the interests of music venues in my day job, and bringing people together like this is collective power. I sense a lot of venue owners feel quite lonely. It's quite a solitary endeavour. Very often it's a labour of love, and them coming together to get their voice heard by the very powerful people who can actually make the decisions to improve the lot of our country's small venues is really important.
And what are you hoping to learn today?
Well, look, in the Labour manifesto, my team wrote in a commitment to the agent of change principle. We want to make sure that we can honour that pledge and deliver on it. But actually what I'm looking for is a longer term policy. How do we convert the public's thinking into look at music venues to think that they're places of culture, like an art gallery or a museum or some of the big venues in London that people see as part of the world of tourism? What can we do as a potential government to make sure that we create those conditions? So I'm looking at what the short-term problems are and how we can lobby on behalf of the industry, but also in the long term, how do we keep that pipeline of creativity going? How do we support young people on their journey in the music industry? And that's really something we need to understand, and we can only hear that from the practitioners.
Do you think there's one particular thing that's the most important right now that we need to deal with?
I certainly think agent of change is really important. But if you look at that, that's really just a status quo policy. That is just keeping venues as they are. What I'm looking for is how we can build the bands of the future, how we can give music lessons to our young people, how we can give the skills advice to the technicians to deal with the modern age of streaming, new lighting, new sound. What can we do in policy terms there? Small venues are part of that, obviously, because they're the start of that journey, and that's why I'm here today.
Was there any music venues for you growing up that were very important?
Well, I guess the one I talk about most is the new Adelphian Hall. That's where I was a student, and I actually live next door to it. I chose to move to a music venue, which is why I get so irritated when they put all these yuppie apartment blocks up and then people complain about the noise, right? If you want to live next to a music venue, you should enjoy music, and that's why we got Agent of Change in. So yes, the Adelphi is there, and I went there during the general election, and Paul, the guy who's been running it for about a century and a half, he made me pay this time because I used to black my way in, but he only charged me £3 and I could have paid for more. So the arguments on the panel about ticket prices and charging and the discussion around that was really interesting for me.
If you had a message for live music fans about these small grassroots music venues, what would that be?
If you value it, campaign for it. We heard from small venue owners who were having all sorts of problems with bureaucracy. We can get this agent of change principle through, even with a government that's sort of dragging its feet a little bit. There's a private members bill. You see John Speller MP moving a private members bill. We need to build cross-party support for that. We need Tory MPs, Labour MPs and all the other parties swinging in around it. So if you value your local music venue, get involved in that campaign, and the Music Venues Trust is central to that.
And finally, would you have any message for the venues themselves on what they can do?
Well, I know it's hard because if you run a music venue, you tend to be a little bit contrarian, a little bit non-formist. Paperwork might not be your best thing, but collecting that data, building a picture of what music venues do for communities, not just for showing bands, but community hubs, the number of people coming through, the revenues, that's really important because that gives strength to the Music Venue Trust to go and talk to ministers and civil servants at a national level. So build your evidence base over the next 12 months, it's really important.